Hey guys, how you doing? This is Andy Huang. 大家好，我是王家贤. Hey, listen, happy Monday first of all. Hope everyone had a awesome weekend. I wanted to talk about a little bit more regarding the designations that I was talking about during the other clips. So, I was talking about, I mentioned a couple of times, even in laws of agency and also in how to obtain your real estate license. So I've talked about the designations. They're basically those letters, 3 or 4 letter alphabet behind your name or underneath of your name, depending on what company you're with. Everyone seems to have different displacements of these designations. So when I was with Remax, the designations was at the bottom of the business card. Your name's on top. At the bottom you have the designations, you have the Children's Miracles Foundation, and you have other things at the bottom. Okay, so now with other companies, there seems to be different, formula, so on and so forth, and, displacement. So the reason what I was talking about it was I was telling you guys what to look for when you're talking to, sellers or buyers, when you're looking for an agent, or even if you're an agent, realtor yourself, you choose to work with others. What it is that you're looking for. Like, for example, over the weekends, I have, I'm helping, actually in the process of helping a client, well, not a client yet, helping a customer, buyer customer looking for properties, so on and so forth. So she just happened to mention that she, her parents has a place elsewhere, and I don't personally go to that area, because I always tell everyone, listen, if you have to travel back and forth 2-3 hours, just go to one listing or go one appointment, so on and so forth. It may be worth your while to refer it out. So Remax and Exit has really great referral rates, meaning that if I refer you a client or buyer or seller in your area, and I will in exchange get a 40% of that commission. So a lot of people think, oh my god, 40%, but think about it, that's a buyer, that's a seller that you normally wouldn't get anyway. So I always tell everyone, hey, listen, 40% of something is still a lot better than 100% of nothing. All right, so if you were getting, let's see, 20,000, 30,000 for that referral, and then a 30,000, 40% of that, think about it, that's $12,000. So that's 12,000. So if you take the 30,000, right? If you take 30,000 minus that 12,000, you still walk away with 18,000. So that's still not a bad deal. So that's why I was talking about. But anyway, going back to the designations. So, let's start with for example. I was telling everyone that, if you look at my business cards, you will see CIPS, you'll see GRI, you'll see CBR, you'll see PSA, and you'll see RETP. All right, so let's break them down one by one. So CIPS stands for Certified International Property Specialists. Here, these are realtors that have in-depth knowledge of international transactions. Okay, so there are 5 days. The classes consist of 5 days. You could take a consecutive days. You could break it up, but you have to satisfy those 5 classes. So there's domestic, there's international, there's Europe, there's Asian. There's a lot of different, involved in that class. So, and at the end, after you satisfy, as those, many of you have already taken classes of NISO classes, NAR classes, or LIBOR classes. At the end of each class or designation classes, there are tests that you have to pass. All right, so once you pass that, then you're given an application. When you fill out that application, there are about 4 sheets. Then you need to fill it out, the totaling 100 points or more. I've actually given 140 points just to be on the safe side. So what are these points consist of? You will need international transactions, meaning that, like for example, it's that was easy for me because I have family members in other parts of the world, like Taiwan and friends in Hong Kong and China. So it's easy for me to complete that. And that also brings me to the questions that everyone seems to be asking. Why are you taking so many designation classes? So many, or are they really, do they really pan out in this business? So I always remember in my very first class, and even throughout my real estate professional life, people always refer to designations as, they're 2 different extremes. People think, 1, they're a waste of time and money. 2, there's other group that believe that the more you know in this business, the more you earn. And I'm a firm believer of the, the more you learn, the more you earn. And the more you know, the more you earn. Okay, so because you have to understand, these are designations are designed, okay, so remember how we talked about every other year in 2 years of time, DOS requires every realtor to take something called CE, continuing education. So that's basically what it is. So now a lot of people take designations just because they need those CE anyway. Meanwhile, others, they will take it, you know what, I need about 22 and a half hours, 23 hours. So I am going to take, basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take 3 classes, no more, possibly 4, because they don't want to spend more, they don't want to invest more. They're thinking that, you know what, any more than that, it's a waste of time, energy. Okay, so I, on the other hand, I do things differently, as I always told you guys. So, really start looking into these designation and let me know, you have my number. You have ways to find me. And then if you need help, if you say, listen, I don't know which one to take, because a lot of people ask, hey, listen, what if I don't do international business? Do I, still need to get the CIPS? Then the answer is obviously not. Because if you're not, okay, for the knowledge, I would say yes. But a lot of people say, listen, I am the type of person, if I spend $1, I wanted to get $1 worth of my spending. So if that's the case, then obviously not. You don't need to get those designations, because it's not going to help you, if you don't do any, international business. However, it will help you on another level, because now you understand how transactions are done in different parts of the world. Okay, so I think it's very important, because when you are in this business, you're not in this business just for your local market. Yes, you need to know everything there's to know about a local market, but you also need to know everything as a whole in industry. All right, so if you look at from that aspect, then it's very important. All right, so with that said, that's the CIPS. So now the GRI stands for Graduate of Realtor Institute. Okay, so what that is DOS gives you 5 years to take those classes. Remember how everyone needs to take the 75-hour qualifying course, and then take the 2 exams and find a sponsoring broker, and then they'll get their license. Remember that? So now the GRI is similar to that, except that rather than the 75 hours, it's actually 90 hours. So it's it's a lot longer, because you have to have 60 hours of core classes, and you have to have 30 hours of 30 credits of the, what do you call it, those CEs. Okay, or you could take designation classes. Okay, so with that in mind, put it this way. Think of it as in, taking classes in college. You have your, depending on your major, you have to have classes, and you have the electives. So in this case, you have to have 60, core courses. All right, so that comes from 8 different classes. Each one is 7.5 hours, so that gives you 60 hours. All right, so if you take 8 multiplied by 7.5, then you get 60 hours. Okay, and then the 30 hours of elective, they're different classes you could take. I happen to choose the CBR, because I figure by having that as the elective, I could pick up another designation. So that's how I ended up with different designations. So now let's talk about GRI on the core level. Okay, you have 8 different classes. They talk about 8 different specific topics that's so important in the real estate business. There is business aspect, there's ethics, there's legal, there's property, so on and so forth. So there are so many different ones. So a realtor who had the knowledge of the GRI really has the in-depth understanding, because there's a course on buyers, there's a course on sellers. Okay, so that's why now you understand, because here these are the realtors, not I'm taking the classes because I believe to self-improvement and also better serve my clients. That's the, I met a lot of different realtors in the those designation classes, and they're different types of realtors. They are not there, hey, just because I just need enough credits to get past renewing my license. These are realtors, hey, listen, I really want to make myself better, so therefore I can help my clients the best that I can. All right, so now then that's the whole GRI. Okay, because through that, think about it, we will have to have the 75 hours that everyone has. We will have to have additional 90 hours, and the DOS gives us 5 years to complete it. Okay, so, and that's the GRI. All right, so the next one is the PSA, which is Pricing Strategy Advisor. That basically, in certain parts, you see here, when you get it, when you go out and apply for a loan, the lending institution will send out a appraiser for the property. Okay, the subject property, and then you'll get a percentage off of that. So it's crucial that you understand the true value of your property. So in this case, we're pricing strategy advisors. We have an in-depth understanding of what it is. So a lot of people ask me, hey, listen, if I decided to put in an extra kitchen, will that help me sell the house for more? All right, so, and I always tell everyone, you know what, there's certain things, when you put in, okay, think about it this way. When you put in a lot of things in the house, does it really make your house worth more? All right, to some extent, okay, and that's when they call the point of diminished returns, because at that point, think about it, your house, everyone on this block, it's $1 million. You put in $8 million worth of improvement in your house. Can you turn around and sell your house for $9 million? And that answer would be yes and no. Okay, unless you're a celebrity in Hollywood and different areas where they know, oh, this is so-and-so's house with these improvements, so people will actually pay extra just for that. But other than that, if you're selling, everyone on this entire neighborhood sells for $1 million and your house is going for $9 million, then you may not get what you spend. All right, that's what I was talking about on diminished returns, because you could spend at that point, at some point, everything else, every dollar you throw in the house becomes a waste. Okay, so you could improve it up to $2 million, $3 million is the most, and then everything else you put in, because after all, if you put in a jacuzzi, put in a heated driveway, put in a movie theater, put in a library, so on and so forth, and that's what I was talking about. All right, so that's the PSA. Okay, now you also see one. Remember how I always say the designation is always 3 letters? Well, the RETP is the equivalent to NYSAR's and NAR's ePro. Okay, so that's why there's RETP, Real Estate Tech Pro. So these are the realtors that has in-depth understanding and knowledge of the technology aspect, social media, and so on and so forth. And this goes back to what I was talking about in GRIs also. One of those 8 classes is called technology, and that happens to be number 8, of course, number 8, and that was the first day for ePro as well. So that's why when you see a lot of realtors, when they have GRI, you also see on their business cards with an ePro. That's because technology class for that GRI 8 happens to be day 1 of the 2-day classes for ePro. So a lot of people ended up taking the second part, which is for about $199, and then they put in an application and they'll apply for it. In this case, because I already have the RETP and I don't plan on traveling to another parts of the country, because ePro is recognized state-wise in the entire United States. Okay, and while RETP is in New York only. Okay, so that goes also depending on where you are, what you are planning to do, and that also kind of dictates what classes you should take. All right, so I hope this is useful. About 15 minutes or so, about 14 minutes. So again, if you have any specifics, hey, listen, I really want to take this, I really want to take that. I mean, there are other classes I didn't mention because I haven't. Remember what I was telling you? I take those classes, I take those designations as I'm going into that business. So I was talking to a lot of international buyers, so I know it's crucial for me to have the CIPS. And and back in the days, everyone knows when I was with RE/MAX does not allow you to represent a buyer unless you have your CBR, Certified Buyer's Representation or Representative designations. All right, so depending on what you're doing, and keep in mind those are super rare. Okay, I'll give you an example between GRIs. Okay, let's take CIPS. All right, so CIPS is Certified International Property Specialist in the entire country of more than 1.2 million realtors. There are less than 4,000 realtors who holds that designation. Okay, in the state of New York, there's less than 200. I happen to be one of them. There are more than 55,000 realtors. So now when you take that, think, look at it, say list 55,000 in New York, and there's only less than 200 holds that designation. So when when international buyers, when they choose and pick and choose, international buyers are completely different than local buyers. I mean, local buyers here do the same thing too. What they'll do is they'll Google you, so on and so forth. But the international buyers, they really Google you. They'll make sure, and that's why everyone asks me, a lot of people ask me that, hey, listen, why do you always stay with franchise companies? I was with Remax, now I'm with, Exit, and people who talk to me on a regular basis know I always speak very highly of Keller Williams and all this. So they're like, are you saying that a franchise company are better than those singly owned, privately owned mom and pop? Hey, listen, depending on what you're doing, if you are doing international business, believe me, those international buyers would really, I've gotten so many leads and also transactions. That's how I was lucky to end up with the CIPS, because of the international aspect. Because with the Remax, people from overseas, they really, they're only gonna go with what they think. And remember, I was telling everyone this the other day, perception is reality. Okay, so when you have the when they're Googling you and they see Remax, automatically they are thinking Remax is one of the most successful, largest real estate giants in the world. And there's other ones, that's what I was talking about, depending on what you're doing. All right, so again, I'm sorry it took a little longer than usual. Okay, so now again, my name is Andy Huang. Anytime if you have any questions, any concerns, or if you need help, please, you could always find me across any social media platform. You can always reach me directly, 646-996-0859. And my email address is andyhuang.realtor@gmail.com. All right, bye now. I will speak with you guys later. And then if I'm slow responding to your text or requests, it's because for the next couple of days, I'm actually taking my associate broker and broker license classes, preparation courses, and I'm actually taking my exam soon. All right, so again, it's rule of thumb, I always return the calls, I always return the emails, and then the text and everything before the end of the day. All right, have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye now.